I should have known something was wrong when Rebecca started wearing perfume to her girls' nights. We'd been married for 7 years, together for 10. She was my college sweetheart, the woman who'd held my hand through my father's funeral, who'd celebrated every promotion with champagne and terrible dancing in our kitchen. But lately, something had shifted. The way she'd pull away when I tried to kiss her neck, how she'd angle her phone screen away from me, the sudden interest in the gym and those expensive highlights she swore were just for herself. "It's just Melissa and the girls," Rebecca said that Friday evening, adjusting her black dress in the hallway mirror. The fabric clung to curves I hadn't been allowed to touch in weeks. "You know how we are once we get talking. Don't wait up." I pulled her close despite her stiffness, breathing in that unfamiliar perfume. "You look beautiful," I whispered against her ear, letting my hands slide down to her hips. She tensed. "David, I'm going to be late. Remember when we couldn't keep our hands off each other?" I tried to keep my voice light, though desperation bled through. "When's the last time we just connected? We're not teenagers anymore." She stepped away, checking her lipstick one final time. "Marriage isn't supposed to be constant passion. That's not realistic." The words stung more than they should have. I watched her grab her clutch and head for the door, her heels clicking against hardwood. "I love you," I called after her. She paused, her hand on the doorknob. For a moment, I thought she might turn around, might come back and kiss me the way she used to. Instead, she said, "Love you too," without looking back. I texted her an hour later, "Hope you're having fun. Miss you." No response. At midnight, I tried calling. Straight to voicemail. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was just feeling insecure because work had been stressful. But at 2 in the morning, when she finally came home smelling like expensive wine and men's cologne, I knew. The way she showered immediately, the guilt that flashed across her face when I asked if she had fun, I knew. I just didn't know what to do about it yet. Monday morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. "Is everything okay?" my boss asked, concern evident in his voice. "Just a stomach bug," I lied, watching Rebecca's car pull out of the driveway through our bedroom window. "I'll be back tomorrow." I wasn't going to be that husband. The one who checked phone records and installed spyware. But I also wasn't going to be a fool. My best friend Jake had mentioned seeing someone who looked like Rebecca at Meridian, an upscale restaurant downtown where reservations required a month's notice and entries started at $70. "I wasn't sure if I should tell you," Jake had said yesterday during our basketball game, his usual confidence faltering. "But man, if it was my wife." I drove to Meridian that evening, parking across the street with a clear view of the entrance. The April sun set slowly, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, colors that reminded me of our honeymoon in Santorini, when she'd worn that white sundress and we'd made love on the hotel balcony, not caring who might see. My phone buzzed. "Rebecca, working late tonight. Grabbing dinner with colleagues. Don't wait up." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. At 7:47 p.m., a silver Mercedes pulled up to the valet. A man stepped out, tall, maybe 6'2", wearing a tailored suit that probably cost more than my monthly salary. He had that effortless confidence of old money, the kind Rebecca used to mock when we were younger and idealistic. Then she appeared. My wife emerged from the passenger side wearing a red dress I'd never seen before. The man's hand found the small of her back, that spot right above her hip that always made her shiver when I touched it. She leaned into him, laughing at something he said, and they walked into the restaurant like they owned the world. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, my heart hammering against my ribs. Part of me wanted to storm in there, to flip tables and demand answers. But another part, the part that had always been strategic, methodical, knew there was a better way. I took photos. Lots of them. Then I drove to the 24-hour pharmacy, bought the cheapest bottle of whiskey they had, and went home to our empty house. I sat in the dark living room, looking at our wedding photos on the mantel, and waited for her to come home with another lie. She arrived at midnight, her lips swollen like she'd been thoroughly kissed. Tuesday morning, I called Mitchell & Associates, the law firm that had handled my late father's estate. "David, good to hear from you," Robert Mitchell said warmly. "What can I do for you?" "I need a divorce attorney." The words felt like glass in my throat. The best you have. There was a pause. I'm sorry to hear that. Let me transfer you to Vanessa Cortez. She's a shark. But she'll protect your interests. Vanessa Cortez met me that afternoon in a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. She was mid-40s, impeccably dressed, with eyes that had seen every variation of betrayal humanity had to offer. Tell me everything, she said, sliding a legal pad across her desk. I showed her the photos. Rebecca and the mystery man entering Meridian. Leaving 3 hours later, his arm around her waist. Getting into his Mercedes. More photos from Wednesday night, a different restaurant, the same intimacy. Her hand on his thigh. His lips on her neck in the parking lot, her head tilted back in pleasure. How long has this been going on? Vanessa asked. I don't know. Months, maybe. The girls' nights started in January. Assets. The house is in both names. We have a joint savings account, about 80,000. My 401k. Her car is paid off, mine has 2 years left. Vanessa made notes with swift, precise strokes. Children. No. That word carried years of fertility treatments, false hopes, and the slow acceptance that it might never happen. Rebecca had stopped trying 6 months ago, said she needed a break. I wondered now if she'd already met him. Any prenup? No. We were 23 and stupid in love. I laughed bitterly. Thought we'd be different. Vanessa looked up from her notes, her expression softening slightly. David, I need to ask, are you sure you want to do this? Some couples work through infidelity with counseling. I thought about Rebecca's cold shoulders, the way she flinched from my touch, how she'd stopped saying I love you first. How she came home smelling like him and slept on the far edge of our bed. I'm sure. Then I have an idea, Vanessa said, leaning forward. It's unconventional, but given what you've told me about these public dinners, we could make a statement. She outlined her plan. It was bold, potentially cruel, and absolutely perfect. Friday night, Rebecca stood in our bedroom applying mascara, preparing for another girls' night. Where are you going this time? I asked from the doorway, my voice carefully casual. Meridian. Melissa got a reservation. She didn't even blink at the lie anymore. Nice. That place is supposed to be amazing. She glanced at me in the mirror, surprised. Usually, I'd protest or sulk or make passive-aggressive comments about her frequent nights out. Yeah, it is. The salmon is incredible. I wondered if he'd fed her salmon, if he'd watched her lips close around the fork the way I used to during our early dates. If he'd ordered expensive wine and impressed her with his sophisticated palate. Have fun, I said, kissing her cheek. You look beautiful. Thanks. She actually smiled, relieved I wasn't going to make this difficult. Don't wait up. I waited 30 minutes after she left, then drove to Meridian myself. Vanessa and a process server named Tony were waiting in Tony's nondescript sedan a block away. You ready for this? Vanessa asked. My hands were shaking. Yes. Once those papers are served, there's no taking it back. Are you absolutely sure? I thought about 7 years of marriage. The good years at the beginning, when we'd stayed up all night talking about our dreams. The gradual drift as careers consumed us. The silence that had grown between us like a cancer. Her choosing him over us, over everything we'd built. I'm sure. Tony adjusted his waiter's uniform, black pants, white shirt, black vest. He looked the part perfectly. The manager of Meridian, an old college buddy who owed me a favor, had agreed to let Tony pose as a server for one table. Just long enough to deliver an appetizer tray. An appetizer tray containing divorce papers. Table 12, Vanessa confirmed, checking her phone. Southwest corner. She's already there with him. Through Meridian's large windows, I could see them. Rebecca in that red dress, laughing with her head thrown back. The man, I'd learned his name was Preston fucking Whitmore, a commercial real estate developer, had his hand over hers on the table. Candlelight made them look like a magazine spread for romance. I felt my chest tighten, but beneath the pain was something else. Anger. Righteous, clarifying anger. "Let's do this," I said. Tony took the envelope Vanessa handed him, tucked it under a silver serving dome, and walked into the restaurant. I watched through the window as he approached their table, professional smile in place. Preston and Rebecca looked up, confused. They hadn't ordered appetizers yet. Tony said something, gesturing at the dome. Rebecca nodded, probably assuming the restaurant was offering a complimentary starter. Tony lifted the dome with a flourish. Even from outside, I could see Rebecca's face drain of color as she saw the papers. Her name in bold letters, Rebecca and Thompson, respondent. The restaurant froze in that perfect moment of revelation. Rebecca's hands trembled as she picked up the papers, her eyes scanning the first page. I watched Preston lean over, reading along with her, his confident smile evaporating. She looked up at Tony, who simply nodded toward the window where I stood. Our eyes met across the distance. I saw everything in her face: shock, guilt, anger, fear. But not remorse. There was no "I'm sorry" in those wide eyes, no desperate plea for forgiveness. Just the calculation of someone caught, wondering how to minimize the damage. She stood abruptly, nearly knocking over her wine glass. Preston grabbed her arm, trying to calm her, but she shook him off. She pushed through the restaurant, past curious diners who'd sensed drama, and burst through the front doors. "David!" She ran toward me in those ridiculous heels, the divorce papers clutched in her hand. "What the hell is this?" "It's what it looks like," I said calmly, though my heart was racing. "I'm done. You humiliated me." Tears streamed down her face, ruining her perfect makeup. "In front of everyone. How could you? How could I?" The anger I'd been controlling for weeks finally broke free. "How could you? How long, Rebecca? How long have you been fucking him?" She flinched at the word. We're not. Don't lie to me anymore. Please. I've watched you lie to my face for months. Just tell me the truth for once." Preston emerged from the restaurant, uncertainty written across his privileged face. "Rebecca. Is everything. Stay out of this." I snapped. "You've done enough." "David, let's go home and talk about this privately," Rebecca tried, reaching for my arm. I stepped back. "No. You don't get to control this narrative. You don't get to make me the bad guy for exposing what you've been doing behind my back. Those papers are real. I want a divorce. Over a mistake." She was trying to manipulate me now, using the soft voice that used to work. "Everyone makes mistakes. We can fix this. Therapy, counseling, whatever you want. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is a thoughtless comment during an argument. What you did," I had to pause, my voice breaking despite my best efforts. "What you did was make a choice. Over and over again. You chose him. You chose to lie. You chose to come home smelling like another man and climb into bed next to me like I was too stupid to notice. I never meant to hurt you. But you did it anyway." I looked at Preston, who had the decency to appear uncomfortable. "Is he worth it? Is he worth throwing away 10 years? Rebecca didn't answer, which was an answer in itself. Vanessa appeared beside me, professional and protective. "David, we should go. Rebecca, you have 30 days to respond to the petition. My contact information is in the paperwork. I suggest you retain counsel." As I turned to leave, Rebecca grabbed my arm one final time. "I did love you. I do love you." I looked at her, really looked at her, this woman I'd planned to spend my life with. "No, you loved who I was when we were young. When I was exciting and uncertain and needed you. But I grew up, became stable and successful, and that bored you. You wanted passion, adventure, someone who made you feel alive. I get it now. That's not true. Isn't it? When's the last time you actually looked at me, Rebecca? Really saw me? When's the last time you asked about my day and cared about the answer? When's the last time you touched me like you wanted to, Not like you were fulfilling an obligation. She had no answer. I gently removed her hand from my arm. Sign the papers. Keep the house if you want it. I can't live there anymore anyway. Take whatever you need. I just want this over. 3 months later, I sat in Vanessa's office as Rebecca's attorney pushed the final settlement agreement across the table. Rebecca wasn't there. She'd chosen to let lawyers handle everything rather than face me again. I signed my name on the designated line, officially ending my marriage. How do you feel? Vanessa asked after everyone else had left. I considered the question. The house was sold, belongings divided, bank accounts split. I'd moved into a downtown loft, started therapy, reconnected with friends I'd neglected. I'd learned that Rebecca and Preston had broken up 6 weeks after that night at Meridian. Apparently, his wife had found out about the affair too. Free, I said finally. Sad, but free. Vanessa smiled. That's a good place to start. Walking out of that office into the summer sunshine, I thought about the future. It looked nothing like what I'd planned. No suburban house, no family dinners, no growing old with my college sweetheart. But it was mine again, unmarked by betrayal and lies. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma, a woman I'd met at a coffee shop last week. Smart, funny, with kind eyes and no interest in games. Still on for dinner tonight? I smiled, typing back, absolutely. Looking forward to it. The story of Rebecca and me was over. But mine was just beginning. The end.